Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to sharpen our world by adding 20 really useful words to your vocabulary. Let's jump right in. You know that feeling, right? When you have this perfect thought, this perfect idea in your head, but you just can't find the right word for it? It's just gone. So frustrating. Well, today, we are going to fix that. Think of this as us building your personal communication toolkit. We're about to add 20 new, super precise tools to it. You ready? Okay, first up, let's dive into some words that are all about describing people. You know, their personalities, their qualities, how they see the world. So our first word is mindset. A mindset is basically a particular way of thinking. It's a noun, and it describes a person's general attitude or their set opinions on things. You know, you could have a positive mindset or a negative one. A really common and powerful phrase you'll hear all the time is growth mindset, just like in the example. He has a growth mindset. And all that means is that he believes his abilities can grow and develop, which is the total opposite of a fixed mindset. All right, next up, we've got two classic personality types, introvert and extrovert. Both are nouns we use to describe people. So an introvert, they're someone who gets their energy from spending time alone. An extrovert, on the other hand, gets their energy from being around other people. And it's not really about being shy or outgoing, it's more about where you recharge your social battery. So you might ask someone, are you more of an introvert or an extrovert? And hey, that leads us perfectly to this next phrase, people person. This is a super common noun phrase for someone who's just naturally friendly and genuinely loves interacting with others. It's definitely related to being an extrovert, but it focuses more on the skill and the enjoyment of being social. And as you can see in the example, you hear it a lot in professional settings. As a manager, it helps to be a people person. Okay, next up is attractive. This is an adjective, and it just means something is pleasing or appealing. Now, we often use it to talk about a person's looks, you know, synonyms like charming or handsome. But its use is way broader than that. An idea can be attractive, a plan can be attractive, an offer can be attractive. For instance, like you see here, the city has many attractive parks. The noun form, by the way, is attraction. And the last word for this section is adaptive. It's an adjective, and it describes something or someone that's able to change to fit new situations. It's really all about flexibility. The verb form is to adapt. The example here is a great one. Humans are a very adaptive species. It's just a fantastic word for talking about that key survival skill. All right, let's switch gears. Now we're going to add some action words to our toolkit. These are the verbs that really bring our sentences to life. First up for our verbs is discover. When you discover something, you're finding information or a place or an object for the very first time. The idea is that it was hidden or unknown before you found it. The noun form is discovery. You might think of the word detect, which is similar, but discover usually has this bigger, more important feel to it. Like in the example, scientists discover new species every year. Next, we have the verb excite. So to excite someone means you're causing them to feel really happy and enthusiastic. The feeling itself is excitement, that's the noun, and a person who feels it is excited, that's the adjective. So check out the example sentence. The news of the trip will excite the children. The news is what's causing that feeling. Okay, now for restrict. This verb just means to put a limit on something. The whole word family here is super useful. The adjective is restricted, which means limited, and the noun is restriction, which is the limit itself. A really common way to use it is with the preposition to, like, access is restricted to authorized personnel. And what's the opposite of restricting? To release. To release something means to let it go, to let it move freely. You can release a prisoner, you can release a movie, you can even release pressure. A more intense, more dramatic word for this is unleash, which kind of suggests you're releasing some powerful, maybe uncontrollable force. All right, let's talk about the word snap. This verb is all about a quick, sudden action. The main meaning is to break something thin and hard with a sharp noise, you know, like snapping a twig. But we use it in other ways too. You can snap a photo or snap your fingers. It always has that feeling of speed and sharpness. Now, similar to snap, but with a lot more force, is the verb strike. It means to hit something forcefully. So you can literally strike a ball with a bat. Or in a more figurative way, an idea can strike you, which means it just suddenly pops into your head. The noun form can be a strike, but it can also be a stroke, which has a few different meanings, including that serious medical event. Okay, let's look at a group of 3 really distinct physical actions. First, to tap is to hit something gently, just a light touch.
Next, to flip is to turn something over with a quick movement, like flipping a pancake in a pan. And finally, to swing is to move something back and forth from a fixed point, like kids on a swing set. See? Each one describes a very, very specific kind of motion. Awesome. Our toolkit is really starting to fill out. Now let's add some words for how we process and understand the world around us.
First up in this section is absorb. This verb means to take something in. So physically, a sponge can absorb water, but we also use this word in a figurative way. For example, you can absorb information when you're studying, and in that sense, it's pretty similar to the word digest, which we can also use for both food and ideas. Now, a more formal, kind of scientific word for taking in food is ingest. It specifically means to take food, drink, or some other substance into your body by swallowing or absorbing it. The noun is ingestion, and the adjective ingestible means that something is safe to eat. You're probably going to see this word most often in medical or scientific writing. All right, now for a completely different kind of action, disclaim. To disclaim something is to officially state that you are not responsible for it, or that you have no connection to it. You're basically pushing it away from you. And this word leads directly to the very common noun, disclaimer. You know, that statement you always see at the beginning of a book or a movie, like, any resemblance to actual persons is purely coincidental. That's a disclaimer. Okay, this next pair is absolutely fantastic for adding precision to your language. We have differ and distinguish. Now, these two are related, but there's a key difference between them. To differ is a verb that means to be different. It's a state of being. For example, our opinions differ on this topic. But to distinguish is a verb that means to see the difference. It's an action. For example, it's hard to distinguish between the identical twins. All right, we're in the home stretch. For our final section, let's add some tools to our kit that'll help us describe concepts, places, and time. Let's kick things off with catering. Catering is the business of providing food and services for events, like parties or weddings. This word kind of lives in the same neighborhood as other words like reception, which is a formal party, and hospitality, which is all about the friendly treatment of guests. You know, when you think of one, you often think of the other. Next up, privilege. So a privilege is a special right or advantage that's only available to a certain person or a group. It's something that not everybody gets. It can be something simple like the privilege of using a company car, or it can be a much bigger, broader societal concept. The example here is perfect. Having a good education is a privilege. You can use it as a noun or as an adjective, like talking about someone from a privileged background. Okay, let's talk about time. The word ancient is an adjective that means something is from the very, very distant past. People sometimes get it confused with historical, but ancient means much, much older. The Roman Empire, that's ancient history. World War II is definitely historical, but it's not ancient. The word has this sense of deep time to it, like when you talk about ancient ruins. And our final new word for today is hub. A hub is the central, most important part of a place or an activity. The best way to think about it is like the center of a wheel, where all the spokes connect. A major airport can be a transportation hub, and a busy city can be a hub of activity. The key idea is that it's a center point of connection and energy. And there we go. Your communication toolkit is officially upgraded. We've just added a bunch of precise words for talking about people, actions, ideas, and places. That is a huge step forward in being able to sharpen your world. So, as we wrap up, just remember that knowing these words is one thing, but using them is what makes it powerful. So take a look at your new toolkit. Which of these words are you going to try to use in a conversation today? Which new tool will you put to work first?